Hiya and welcome to the Redmen TV. I'm Chloe Bloxham. It is the Rumours show. I've not been here for about 3 weeks and I am back. So if there's players on this board that have moved and have guaranteed a transfer elsewhere, it's because I've not been doing this show. You'll probably see Somerville went to West Ham and is in unlikely instead of no chance. But I was going to round up all of those players. But considering it is the Rumours show, there has been some massive rumours/news in the past 3 hours. So I'm going to sack off absolutely everything else that I had to do. And we're just going to look at Zubimendi. And it's not me giving my thoughts, it's you giving your thoughts. I asked Dan to put out a tweet today on Twitter. You can also get in the comment section of the YouTube chat as well. I will bring those up for you. But mainly I'm going to look at Twitter and your thoughts, some of the little stats from him, and see what we're thinking. We'll also run through the timeline of what happened. This did only happen, you know, a couple of hours ago. It was literally as Steve and Dan were doing the news show, and it broke about a potential number 6 and who that number 6 is. Obviously David Ornstein did say a couple of days ago that we didn't know who exactly it was. Well, we do now, or supposedly we do now. So we will have a look at that. I'll get in the comments now. Adam Fitzgibbon, saying hi Chloe. Hi mate, there goes my phone. My phone's had a lovely time on the floor there. Finally, we're signing someone, says official Cam. Well, yes, hopefully. I mean, it's not over the line. I do not want to, you know, jinx anything right now, but we will see. Anyway, let's go to what happened. So Paul Joyce put out on Twitter saying Liverpool considering Real Sociedad's midfielder Martin Zubimendi more at the Time Sport. Then David Ornstein himself did an article on The Athletic. I can't bring it up, but I will read it out for you. It says Liverpool exploring Martin Zubimendi deal. Liverpool are exploring a deal to sign Martin Zubimendi as they work to strengthen Arne Slot's squad with a new number 6. A move for the 25-year-old Spanish international is complicated by his £51 million release clause needing to be paid in full if the Liga club are not willing to negotiate a fee below that figure. Liverpool would also need to convince Zubimendi to leave, which a number of suitors from the Premier League and elsewhere have not managed to do so far. Zubimendi has previously attracted the interest of Arsenal, Barcelona and also Bayern Munich. He apparently rejected Arsenal twice. He rejected Bayern Munich. So if Liverpool have managed to get this over the line, then that is some massive work from Richard Hughes over there, and hopefully we can get it over the line. Zubimendi was part of Spain's title-winning squad at the European Championship earlier this summer. He came on in the final for Rodri at half-time. I think everyone expected Spain to completely collapse without Rodri. Zubimendi came on and it was like you couldn't even really tell that Rodri had gone off the pitch, which is really, really good for Zubimendi. He was primarily an understudy to Rodri, obviously, coming on for the Manchester City man for Spain's dead rubber final group game against Albania, and then obviously the final against England. The Athletic reported on Tuesday that Liverpool were pursuing a number 6 from the outside of the Premier League as a priority to add to the squad. In pre-season, Slot has played Wataru Endo, Dominic Szoboszlai, Ryan Gravenberch in that role, with the latter earning praises from the head coach. Yeah, obviously, after Manchester United, he had some positive words to say about Ryan Gravenberch, and I actually enjoyed Ryan Gravenberch's pre-season, which was only one game, really, but I enjoyed him in that position. He's not who I want as my out-and-out number 6, but in that pivot with maybe a Martin Zubimendi, Alexis McAllister, who really knows what we can do there. Liverpool lost one midfield option earlier this summer when Thiago departed, and obviously we did lose Jordan Henderson and Fabinho last season, which was why the entire rebuild had to happen. We did bring in Wataru Endo, who I think this entire purchase potential move for Zubimendi means that it's likely that the days are numbered for Wataru Endo. We obviously had a bid from, I want to say it was Marseille, and we rejected it. I think we'd won somewhere very, very close to what we originally paid for him, considering it's only been a year on. But it did feel like when we signed Wataru Endo, he was just going to be that stopgap player. And to be fair, at the start of the season, I wasn't fully sold on him. But as the season went on, you know, I thought he stepped up in massive games. He obviously scored that Fulham goal as well, which, you know, helped us come back from the dead. So look, I have a lot of respect for Wataru Endo as well. Welsh Roadrunner, hi Chloe, happy Zubimendi Day. it's not Zubimendi Day yet. Until he's through the door, that is when I will class it as Zubimendi Day. Get in the comments, let me know, are you excited about being linked to Zubimendi? There was a couple of players who I think a lot of people wanted a little bit more because of the progressiveness of their passing and things like that. But I like the look of Zubimendi, I do. And at the age of 25, you know, we've got a lot of youngsters in midfield. You know, we've still got Alexis McAllister, 25, Wataru Endo, 31. But aside from that, you've got Dominic Szoboszlai, 23, Curtis Jones, Harvey Elliott, obviously the likes of Bobby Clark and all that as well, Ryan Gravenberch. So there is a lot of teens to early 20s in that little lineup there, and to bring in a 25-year-old, it's just bridging the gap between the two. He's still got loads of his peak years ahead of him, but he's a player who can slot into this team. Did you get that on a slot? I didn't even mean that, but now I've picked up on it. I can't hate myself for the joke. Probably shouldn't have pointed it out because I really didn't think it. Let's see what else we've got in here. Friends Up was my guy. I don't know whether anyone's on this board who is anyone else's. A lot of people wanted Edison, which I put in no chance because it kind of got completely shut down at the start of the window when that was first brought up. I really think Zubimendi would be a great signing if we get him. So do I. I hope we get him. But we'll have to see. Look, I don't think Paul Joyce, he's a man of few words. I don't think if this wasn't close, he would have anything to say. He'd just leave it be. But he has had something to say, which means hopefully this deal is really quite close to being put over the line. Could it be a curveball to get us thinking about something else? Maybe, but then I'm not sure journalists would put themselves on the line for that. That's the only thing. But you'd assume that they've been given, you know, some headway to come out and make these statements. And also, Zubimendi is known for not wanting to leave Spain, you know, for the likes of Arsenal, Bayern Munich. So it does make you think, why would Liverpool put this out there? Why would Liverpool let this story become a thing if we hadn't been given some sort of positive, progressive update from Zubimendi saying he's willing to leave Spain? Because Liverpool don't want to get in a situation where they had with the likes of Caicedo and Lavia last season. We had a couple of mishaps there. But let's see what else. Slot did take Endo out of the room for a chat in the inside training video before the United game. Yeah, he also started the first one, and then, you know, Szoboszlai was injured for the United game. I thought Endo would have just instantly slotted into there, but no, he didn't. He came on, didn't he? He started Real Betis, and then I feel like he was just maybe not the favoured in that slot midfield. And look, I get it. He's not at the level of maybe some of the others, or the potential of some of the others being his age. But, you know, he still put in an all-right season for Liverpool last season. He got a little song as well, which wasn't sung loads. But I think this move might mean that his days are numbered at Liverpool. We'll have a look. Chloe, are we getting the stadium view this season? Loved it last season? Of course we are. I will hopefully be at Ipswich. So if you do want to see what that is, I do matchday vlogs on all of them. You'll see some unbelievable away scenes. Limbs, Newcastle, Núñez. I nearly died up in the gods for that game because the absolute amount of people that just went flying. So do check out my YouTube channel. Thanks for plugging that, by the way. Thank you so much. If you want to check out my channel, it's just Chloe Bloxham, and you'll find matchday vlogs over there. Boss and eyebrows, Chloe, Zubimendi level, thank you. Thank you so much. And if he's on the level of my eyebrows, we're going to have a great time because, you know, my eyebrow girl is wonderful. So let's hope he is on that level. Awesome content, thank you so much. Right, let's get in to more of what's happened then. Obviously, we've just read from what David Ornstein said. He goes on to say, Richard Hughes is working hard on it, and let's see what comes from this. If he's not here with us, then we speak on the phone many times. This is obviously on a slot talking about him. Zubimendi is a product of the Real Sociedad Academy and has played 187 times for the club since making his debut in 2019. I want to say Marino, who's another Spanish lad, did quite good in the Euros. He looks like he could be on his way to Arsenal. So Real Sociedad could be losing two of their midfielders here. So if Liverpool want to get this over the line, hopefully they can do it before Arsenal, so that there's less of a problem for us. But there is a release clause there. The problem is the release clause has to be paid in full. Do Liverpool really want to do that? Probably not. It might be a case that Liverpool have to find, you know, a different way to get around that. And who knows, it might be, you know, finding a way to pay more or less. Hopefully we can pay less, but I really, really doubt that Real Sociedad are going to be up for that. Fabrizio Romano obviously then came out and said Liverpool are exploring the move for Martin Zubimendi as new midfielder. There was a release clause in his contract. Talks will follow between the clubs and on the players' side. We'll now go to Andrew Beasley, who, you know, gives us all these little brilliant stats. And if I bring this one up, I don't know whether we can. Can we bring this up, Joe? No, we can't. Maybe we can, I don't know. But either way, oh look, there it is, absolutely stunning. Martin Zubimendi is great at individual battles, central and defensive midfielder, Spanish La Liga. This was in 21-22, a minimum of 900 minutes played. And we've got on the left-hand side, aerial dual success and dual success on the bottom. Zubimendi is right up the top there, over 60% in dual success and well over 60%, closer to, you know, the 70s mark for aerial dual success. And we've got Etienne Capoue there, if anyone remembers him. He's below, he has more dual success, but less aerial dual success, and that's a bit mags. I remember him being tall, but here we are. Let's move on to the next one. 199 midfielders, this was in 2023. 199 midfielders have contested at least 150 aerial duels since the start of 1920 season. 232 contested, 165 won, 71.1% win rate in those aerial duels. Martin Zubimendi has the best success rate. We love that as well. Possession won, Zubimendi, and we've got his possession win 218, all in the attacking direction, which is great to see as well. I've got a couple more that I will bring up. Before we do that though, I'm going to go over to our Twitter and see what everyone is really saying, because let's be honest, I want to know your thoughts. So we've got Bobby Gunn. We put out a tweet. Bobby Gunn says, I'm nervous until it's done, always being led to believe it will be borderline impossible to prize him away from Spain. Let's wait and hope. Yeah, that is the thing. He doesn't want to leave Spain, but at the same time, I really don't think Liverpool would be giving this info or letting this info out if we hadn't been given some sort of green light that he is interested in moving to Liverpool. So there we go. After the review show you did, I'm a bit not excited. I don't know if he's any better than what we have. I would have wanted Andre, that's Andre Trinidad, who was a player who we were linked with last season, so with Fulham. It looks like he stayed there to try and win some sort of trophy for them that I've already forgot. He did win it, but in doing so, he didn't move to Fulham or Liverpool, and both seemingly dropped out of the race for him. We've got Jay Whittaker saying not happening. There's a lot of people who are a little bit worried that this just is absolutely false news, I think. I don't trust these journalists. It's Paul Joyce, though. Paul Joyce does not come out on Twitter and say many things. He's a man of few words. That's why my hope is here. It's the fact that it's Paul Joyce who's actually said something on this. You don't like it's too dark and depressing. I am both of those things. So I do like the new studio. I think it's absolutely sick. It is unbelievable, actually, to be fair. I love the new studio. It's something different. It's got all of the signed tops, memorabilia, 6 Champions Leagues as well over there. Hopefully you'll learn to enjoy it more. I can't tell you, I've not been on a show on it, but from what it was like before I left, I enjoyed it. I think we've only had one show, maybe in this studio. No, we've probably had news on here as well. I don't know, I've not been here. But what I can say is I like it personally, massive fan of it. And also you'll get to see the match day version of it come Sunday, so hopefully you like that one back. Oh, yeah, Redmen there in the chat, we'll change it back just for you, Lee. Yeah, the thousands of pounds and lots of work that's went in for it, we'll reverse all of that. Let's see. Are you standing in front of Zubimendi? No, Zubimendi's in this little pile down here. We haven't put him anywhere yet. We're just getting your reaction if you want to get in what you think. This guy was so sceptical with him not leaving Spain. Yeah, he doesn't really like to leave Spain, but also, I'm just going to go back to it, guys. It's Paul Joyce who's saying this. Paul Joyce does not come out and do all these transfer rumours. He doesn't give anything. Like, he can speak on Twitter once in every 6 months, really, if it's some breaking news. So I am leading with the fact that I'm hoping that, you know, this is quite close to being done. For Paul Joyce to come out and say it, but we will have to see. There is still a lot of talks that have to be done. Sounds like a deal could be complicated. Hope not, and we do sign him, says Dave. I think he's staying. Hope I'm wrong, though. We don't want to drag it on either. No, that is a good point. If he does decide not to leave Spain, then we need to make sure that, you know, we kind of move on quickly and identify a different target. Be fantastic if it happens. Strange way for Liverpool to go about it unless it's more advanced. Exactly what I was thinking, that being Paul Joyce who's coming out and said it. Trust Paul Joyce more than I do Romano. So do I, for many, many reasons. But yeah, I trust Paul Joyce more than anything. Fabrizio Romano stays the pot on everything. And, you know, a lot of the time he just says what other journalists have already said, several seconds late. But it's fine. You know, if it's true, I don't care. Let's see what's happening now. Sorry, my watch is going off as always. Let's see. Grav transfer was given to Journos and deal was done next day. Yeah, that was kind of a rush against time as well. This one we've got a little bit more time, but I'd like to get it over the line as quickly as possible because getting a new 6 in, to play in the way that Arne Slot wants them to play, it would be important for them. So let's see what happens there. We'll move on to Zubimendi's stats from compared to the Champions League players last season. So we've got Zubimendi 25, Champions League 2023-24, so last season. And then we've got the Champions League average 23-24. Once again, don't know if we can bring this graphic up. I hope it's still connected. We'll soon see. But Martin Zubimendi is in red. The league average is in blue. He has more pressured passes. He's got higher passing rate, higher aerial duels won. He has got less defensive actions, that is true. But he's got, I'm trying to read this one here, opposition half ball recoveries is miles out. So he wins that ball higher up the pitch than anyone else, and he wins it high up the pitch more times than anyone else. So that is a really good stat to get us on the front foot. We've also got pressure regains is really quite high. You know, that is massively important for the way we want to play. His ball recoveries is at 11.2, and it's 7.9 for the rest of the players in the Champions League on average there. We've got dribbles successfully defended at close to 66% there. He's got more, I'm trying to see, interceptions of some kind that I just cannot see there. He's got a lower turnover rate, which is also important. You don't want to lose the ball in the midfield where we play out, which we will be doing with Slot. And I think we saw that a few too many times against Manchester United. They could have had several goals with that because we turned it over a little bit too easy. What I will say is, on average, deep progressions, other midfielders in the Champions League have had a higher successful rate of that. But at the same time, for what we want, he has been assessed as a player who helps you get out of difficult situations, regains the ball, and then passes to those who are much more creative in the middle of the park. So he sits in between the two players who are going to press from the opposition, and he sits and gives the triangles for the defenders, for the wing-backs, to kind of help them play out from the back, which I've enjoyed watching us play out from the back and build up into that attack and movement in pre-season. It's not gone smoothly as I'd like in terms of us losing the ball too many times. But other than that, you know, I do think Zubimendi would be good for that. I just thought he was bossing the Euros as well. We will look at a little athletic piece that was done in 2023, and this is the headline from it. Martin Zubimendi is the Gen Z Sergio Busquets. Now, don't know about you, but that is some unbelievable high praise there. This summer, we are profiling 50 exciting players under the age of 25. This was obviously last year. So let's go on to it then. Footballers don't tend to indulge in comparisons, but it's hard not to when Martin Zubimendi has the ball. His position holds a special place in the history of Spanish football, obviously with the likes of Busquets being one of those players who was just unbelievable at it, possibly one of the best ever, if not the best ever at it. I think Rodri might have something to say, but, you know, there we go. At 24 years old, he emerges, his emerge feels timely. Sergio Busquets bowed out at Barcelona. Rodri was obviously Tim what he does best at Manchester City, and now Martin Zubimendi, is apparently the next progression of that, which I love to see. A player born and raised in a city captivated by football of Xabi Alonso, coached by the man himself as well, playing where he once played, Zubimendi couldn't be better placed to become the sport's next great pivot. Now, I don't know about you, that is the first part of it. I've not even gone into the stats or anything, and I'm already a little bit interested in that. He is a bit of me. I think we've had a super chat. Maybe we haven't. Let's see. Chloe, can you take down Somerville and Pacho? Yeah. Sorry, I've just not been here. Genuinely not been here. I just set it back up the way it was. Pacho looks like he's going to PSG for anyone who wants to know. Somerville has signed for West Ham United. That all happened whilst I was away. We'll move these players along. You know, just put them more in line. I'm standing here, so I'll try not to put anyone behind me. Anyway, let's go back to it. For all the romanticisms of his football upbringing, his destiny at the peak of the game remains as grounded and as pragmatic as they come. With more touches, passes and carries than any other teammate, he's inspired his boyhood club to Champions League qualification. Do bear in mind, this is all 2023, so this was last season. Anchoring a technically gifted Real Sociedad midfield. His 22-23 touch map paints the picture well. He sits at the base of a diamond of a midfield three, and he's happy to drop between the centre-backs in sustaining possessions. That is the triangles that he would then turn out of and progressively pass forwards, or give it to the likes of Alexis McAllister Szoboszlai, who will then carry up the pitch a little bit more. Real Sociedad like to start to play out from the back, and they are not averse to playing short, risky passes around their own penalty area to lure their opposition in. Obviously, we know that if you can keep and regain possession in those instances and oppositions push up on you, it is much easier once you've broken that first line to then go and attack and fit through them better and more quickly. So he is very much a player who's not going to be technically unlocking doors, but he will be the player that helps Liverpool get out from the back if they were to sign him. He's often the receiver, picking up the ball under pressure and facing his own goal. It's a role that requires immaculate technique, quick and nerveless decision making, ensuring the right pass at the right speed, angle and elevation is played to allow his teammate to progress with the ball. Obviously, it also needs the confidence of someone to be able to kind of carry it out and do that. Put simply, Zubimendi is the cog between the defence and the midfield. The spare man Real Sociedad need to win these mini battles and move into the space that's been created. Most often it would be his intelligent moving behind the two striker press that will provide the outball. No midfield player has received more passes from centre backs, Nomad or Zubaladia, I'm going to say. They're the two centre-halves, or were the two centre-halves. Nomad still, who I think might be on his way out of Real Sociedad after an impressive Euros. They're the two centre-halves for Real Sociedad last season. Zubimendi's total of 184 progressive passes is the most of any player in that squad. Bear in mind that squad has Marino, who we mentioned earlier, who Arsenal are actually really quite interested in. So, you know, there's that. Much like Busquets, Zubimendi is elusive and often understated. He always looks to position himself in the pockets of space to receive the pass between two players and then move out of it. And that is just to break the press. He very much isn't. I think some people might be a little bit upset that he's not. You know, I don't know. I'm not sure he's a destroyer, and he's also not the most progressive player who can turn, you know, anyone on a sixpence, which Rodri can. He is that destroyer, but he pops up with goals and assists when Manchester City needs him the most. I'm not sure he's got all of that, but he's still 25 and he has time to progress into that. His ability to anticipate the pressure, shift his body weight quickly to deceive his defender and calmly swivel the opposite way is the kind of movement that Busquets was renowned for, and now Zubimendi is coming into that movement as well. He has the ability to escape in dangerous positions, which is massive as well. Just on what Alonso said about him, he said he's a player that every coach wants because he is generous. He always thinks more about his teammates than he does himself. We know how many players we've had who've sacrificed themselves for the team, much more up front than in the midfield. But Zubimendi will do that. He will sit at the base. His ball retention is of high quality. He's really good at receiving the ball in tight areas and keep it moving towards goal. Only 4 La Liga midfielders carried the ball more during the 22-23 season, pointing to his ability in dribbling his way out of pressure. I think it's important to kind of talk about the fact that maybe he's not the most progressive player, but he keeps this side, Real Sociedad, moving and taking over. He gets them out of the dangerous positions. He is really confident on the ball to play out from the back, and he obviously is one of the most important players for Real Sociedad, because if they didn't have him in that 6, in that base to kind of invite pressure on and then turn out of it and break that press, then they wouldn't be as good as they are. I think in total, the 2 midfielders beside them, one of them that is Marino, had 18 assists where he only had 3. But the reason that they've got 18 is because he's the one passing to them in progressive areas, because he's managed to break the press by just finding little pockets of space and swivelling on it. And we know a player who likes to swivel, and that is Thiago. So good at it. And Zubimendi hopefully has a lot of quality of many Spanish midfielders, because, let's be honest, Spanish midfielders are it. In respect, Zubimendi is not hugely aggressive defender. He uses the true tackles metric, the combined number of tackles, fouls and failed challenges, to account for how often he puts a foot in. We can possession adjust to compare his tenacity with other players in more or less defensively demanding roles. A rate of 5.5 true tackles per 1,000 opposition touches leaves him in the bottom 26% of all La Liga midfielders with over 900 minutes. Instead, he prefers to recover the ball, block and snuff out loose passes, nipping in front of flat-footed, Jesus Christ, attackers to intercept the pass in his speciality. So he, once again, isn't an out-and-out destroyer, but what he does do is, you know, he very much wins the ball high up the pitch. That's where his ball recoveries are. They're in the opposition half, and that's great for us because of the attacking, you know, prowess we have up top. You've got your Harvey Elliott, who's now moving into those positions. You'll have Diaz, Darwin Núñez, Cody Gakpo back, but you already right now have Jota, Salah, maybe Carvalho, you know, at the moment. So if we win that ball high up the pitch, and several times a game, you'd bet on our front three putting several of those chances away. Maybe not after last season, however, but you should bet on them being able to do that. And also, if you've got McAllister or Sobo high up the pitch, being that extra attacking midfielder, making that deep-lying run, and they get on it there, you'd imagine one of them could put the chances away as well. So it's more the fact that he wins the ball and he recovers the ball high up the pitch, and also whilst doing that, when in possession, he is the one that links absolutely everything together. So for me, I like the sound of Zubimendi, I really do. And we might have to give him time, it just is that. Hopefully we can lure him away first. This is not a deal that's done, but you know, we will have to see. People are going on about this board. I've gave up with this board ages ago, lads. I've not been here for 3 weeks. This has just stayed where it's been. If anything's being said about any of these players, I ain't got a clue. I did not care about transfers whilst I was on my holiday. And the fact that I've been back 2 days and Zubimendi is now apparently potentially on his way to Liverpool just says everything, because I didn't see a single thing about transfers whilst I was away, and now I'm back. It starts. They must know how much I hate transfers. Anyway, before we do go, we'll just quickly go back and have a look at what some people are saying on Twitter, and then we'll go through it. Feelings are on hold until he signs. We all feel like we've been, you know, really burnt in the past, clearly, don't we? We have some issues here about trusting people and trusting journos, and, you know, I can kind of understand, but at the same time, it's Paul Joyce. No paperwork signed yet, so it means nothing. He's clearly a step up in quality after last summer, hoping it's done and done quickly. And who knows, this might be one of several signings. It doesn't necessarily mean all in midfield, but this could get Liverpool's summer transfer kick-start, and let's hope it does. Seems a long way off done, especially as we have to convince him to want to leave. But there's the thing, is Paul Joyce really coming out with this if Liverpool haven't been given a sign that Zubimendi would be open? to leaving Liverpool. I'm not sure. I think if he hadn't given the green light, Liverpool would just move on from it. But we will see. We might not get him. We might get him. I really like the player. I thought he had a really good Euros, and you can't just base it off Euros, let's be honest. But I'm happy that Liverpool are finally making progressive moves to sign players, because it's been a little bit boring, and I totally understand it. Arne Slot had to see the players he had at his disposal. There was a Euros. We've now had a pre-season where half of our players have only just came back in the last week. So I totally get why we've not been active in the summer transfer window. But it looks like we're starting to be active. Hopefully this is the start of a couple of signings who will be at the top level to come in and make Liverpool much, much better. But thank you so much for listening, for watching. Let's hope when I'm back on this in maybe a week's time that we have actually signed someone. Before I go, I mean, it's Paul Joyce. So I'm going to put it in I could see it. I'm not putting in looks likely yet, because I need a bit more information about, you know, whether we've progressed with talks on the personal side, and also what we're going to do about that 51 million release clause. Liverpool will not want to pay that outright, but they might just have to. So we will have to see about that. But Zubimendi is a player who I actually think would be really good, would, you know, improve our level. And I think Wataru might be the player who is sacrificed for that. And who knows if we can get a good fee for Wataru, it just makes the team all a little bit better. If you bring a player in for 50 but you get 20 so for Wataru, that might be, you know, too positive of thoughts. But I'm feeling positive right now. But anyway, thanks so much for watching. Until the next one, up the Reds.